After 50 years of modern scientific investigation and more peer-reviewed studies than almost any artifact in human history, nobody can explain how the image on the Shroud of Turin was formed. Not convincingly and not completely. And that's worth paying attention to. The Shroud of Turin is a linen cloth 14 feet long, 3.5 feet wide, housed in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. It bears the faint brownish image of a man, front and back, who appears to have been beaten, crucified, and stabbed. Millions believe it is the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. Millions of others believe it is a medieval forgery. And then there's a third group, mostly scientists, who think neither explanation matters most. What matters is that the image shouldn't exist at all. In 1978, a team of 26 American scientists was granted unprecedented access to the cloth. They called themselves STURP, the Shroud of Turin Research Project. Physicists, chemists, biologists, image analysts. They spent 120 hours running every non-destructive test available. Their conclusion? The image is not paint, not dye, not a scorch, not produced by any substance added to the fibers. The discoloration exists only on the very topmost layer of the linen, shallower than a human hair. Sturp couldn't explain it. They published their findings and said exactly that. Here's where it gets stranger. In 1898, a photographer named Secondo Pia took the first photographs of the shroud. When he developed his negatives, he saw something that stopped him cold. The image on the cloth behaves like a photographic negative. His negative revealed a positive image, clear, detailed, almost lifelike. The shroud predates photography by centuries. Whatever produced the image understood that light and dark should be reversed. Then researchers ran the image through a VP8 image analyzer, technology used to convert light intensity into three-dimensional topographical maps. The image on the shroud contains accurate encoded 3D information. When fed through VP8, it produces a geometrically consistent model of a human face and body. Photographs don't do that. Paintings don't do that. Nothing a medieval forger could have created does that. So here's the question. What process, natural, artistic, or otherwise, creates photographic negative with embedded 3D data on a piece of cloth centuries before either concept existed? Now, 1988, carbon dating. 3 independent laboratories, Oxford, Zurich, and Tucson, each tested samples from the shroud. All 3 returned the same result. The cloth dated between 1260 and 1390 AD. Medieval. Case closed, said the headlines. Except the scientific community didn't move on. The samples were cut from a single corner, a corner historical records suggest was damaged in a fire in 1532 and repaired by nuns using replacement linen. Textile chemist Raymond Rogers confirmed the sample corner showed chemical properties inconsistent with the rest of the cloth. A 2026 study published in Nature, examining the original 1988 textile fragments, found the debate over sampling integrity is still unresolved. Alternative dating methods, like infrared spectroscopy, vanillin degradation, and mechanical tension testing, have returned dates consistent with the 1st century. Those findings are contested, but they exist. A single test on a single corner of a single cloth is not a verdict. It never was. The bloodstains are another anomaly. The shroud bears marks at the wrists, feet, back, and scalp, consistent with crucifixion. Multiple analyses have found human blood with elevated bilirubin, a marker of extreme physical trauma. The wound pattern is anatomically precise in ways inconsistent with medieval art. Artists of that era depicted crucifixion nails through the palms. The wounds on the shroud are through the wrists, the anatomically correct location, because nails through palms cannot support a body's weight. A medieval forger would have almost certainly gotten that wrong. There is also a second cloth. The Sudarium of Oviedo is a smaller linen kept in northern Spain with a documented history going back to the 1st century. It carries no image, but its bloodstains match the shroud's pattern, the same reported blood type, the same positioning, identical nose measurements. Pollen grains found on the Sudarium match species found on the shroud, native to Jerusalem. The probability that two unrelated medical forgeries independently arrived at the same bloodstain pattern and the same regional pollen is not a question forgery theorists would have answered cleanly. Now let's talk about 2026. In March, a major DNA study was published called DNA Traces on the Shroud of Turin, Metagenomics of the 1978 Official Sample Collection. Researchers applied modern sequencing to samples collected from the cloth in 1978. What they found was a biological record of everywhere the cloth had ever been. Human DNA from dozens of lineages, Middle Eastern, North African, East Asian, with roughly 40% tracing to Indian origins. Microorganisms adapted to high salinity environments, the kind found near the Dead Sea. The cloth reads like a map of the ancient world. And yet more testing has not been approved. The Vatican controls access. Comprehensive scientific examination has been allowed exactly once, 1978. Requests for new testing have been submitted repeatedly. The answer has consistently been no, or not yet. In early 2026, Pope Leo expressed a desire to visit the shroud and raised hopes that new analysis might be permitted. That conversation is ongoing. But the cloth remains locked behind glass, behind permissions, behind an institution that has never formally declared it authentic and has never formally declared it a forgery, which is in its own a strange position to hold. The most studied artifact in human history, and we still can't agree on what it is. The image formation is unexplained. The 3D data is real. The carbon dating is disputed. The blood is human. The DNA points to the ancient Middle East. A second cloth corroborates the wound pattern, and the institution that holds it keeps the world at arm's length. If the shroud is a forgery, it was made using techniques that didn't exist by someone who understood Roman crucifixion anatomy better than the artists of their era, who encoded three-dimensional data into a photographic negative centuries before either concept was invented. And if it isn't a forgery, what are we looking at?